team ji.
Originally.
Yes. Somalia camp.
Sorry. Assalamualaikum. Start straight away because all are known to us, all the guests are known to me.
Hazur, would you enlighten us the difference between Prophet Isa, the Mahdi, and Mirza Ghulam?
There is no difference. In one way, there is no difference because in the present context, it's one and the same thing you're talking about. Because Al-Mahdi and Isa, according to us, are both titles. Titles to be applied to the reformer of the latter days, who is called Al-Imam Al-Mahdi from the Islamic viewpoint, from the viewpoint of his great jihad against Christianity, the wrong Christianity, of course, not the Christianity of Jesus Christ, but to rehabilitate the right original figure of Jesus Christ to the people of Christianity. He is entitled Al-Masih al-Maud. So he has two roles to perform in this world. One is basically related to the Ummah of Islam, which is that of Al-Mahdi, Imam Al-Mahdi. He will be their Imam, he will guide them, he will decide the issues in which they are, which they do not agree with, in which they do not agree with each other, and they have been conflicting with each other for the interpretations of this verse and that verse, interpretation of this hadith and that hadith. So all the feuds which have divided the Ummah Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam are in fact based on some interpretations. Some interpret one verse of the Holy Quran this way, some others that way. So also the hadith are interpreted differently. So instead of one Ummah, the Ummah is split into 72 sects. How can they be brought together unless an Imam is created who will be guided by Allah Himself, so he sees with the light of Allah? Then he can sit on the chair of Qadha, as it's called. He will be Hakaman Adalan. He sits on the chair of justice and decides which one is right and which one is wrong, in which respect this sect is right and in what respect that sect is wrong. So that is the role of Al-Imam Al-Mahdi described in Ahadith, that he would be Hakaman Adalan. Now the same role is described in relation to Jesus Christ when He comes again. So that is why I said there is no difference, because we believe, and we have repeatedly pointed out, that the most important thing to be decided is whether old Jesus Christ is still alive or not. If he is dead, then it has to be someone else in his name who would come. And because we prove from the Holy Quran that old Jesus Christ is dead, so whenever he is named, whenever it is promised that he would come again, it always means somebody in his name and in his character. So it will be the Al-Imam Al-Mahdi who would be entitled Jesus Christ. And that is why in one hadith of Ibn Majah, it is said, Lal Mahdiyo illa Isa. There will be no Mahdi other than Isa. So that difference which you thought there does exist, does not exist according to this hadith. There is no difference between Isa and Mahdi. You see, you have already been answered by Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. You started with the question of how we will differentiate between Al-Mahdi and Al-Isa. You're asking this question now, 1400 years after. And Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, 1400 years ago, before this question was raised to him, answered it in the light of God's guidance. Said, Lal Mahdi al-Isa. So that difference goes overboard, no more. So to whomever these two things apply, how can there be a difference between them and the titles? What is your profession?
Myself,
Yes.
accountancy.
You're an accountant.
That's
Yes,
how
yes,
I qualified.
yes.
Yes.
And what's your name?
Saeed.
And what is the difference between Sayyid and an accountant?
One is profession, one is my name.
But they don't, are they not present in you one person?
Yes. One is my title and one is my name.
That exactly is the answer to your question, your own question, regarding the difference between Isa, Mahdi and Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian. That is his personal name, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, and these two are his titles. And because there is no difference between these two titles according to Hazrat Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, so no difference whatsoever.
Thank you, Hazrat.
Right. Yes, please.
Hasur explained to us how to become a good preacher, the
Right.
ilallah. What other teaching of Quran for those who listen to message?
Do you want me to explain how to become a good Da'i Allah? Is that right?
Yes, please.
And what was the second part of the question?
The second part is question is what other teaching of Quran for those who listen to the message?
Right. You see, first of all, I have been telling the Jamaat for so many years now that if you want me to answer this question in nutshell, in short, the best answer is to try to imitate Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, because he was the Da'i ilallah created by God himself, and he was a model in everything for all the people, for all the times to come. So the short answer, and very comprehensive one for that matter, is that we should try to find out more about the ways of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in relation to his office to call the whole world to the path of Islam or to God. And all these traditions are well preserved. And they are the traditions in which there are no two opinions between Sunnis and Shiites, one sect and another, Hanafites and Shafis, etc. That is the beauty of this, that these traditions, they do not relate to beliefs and dogmas, so people have not interfered with them, they have not interpolated with them, they left them alone as pure. So there will be no disagreement as far as the style and approach and attitude of Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is concerned towards preaching. So that is the treasure for us, uninterpolated, undiluted, pure as it was in its original pristine purity. So you better study the ways of Hazrat Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, how he did it. Number one, you will discover that he did it without fear. He did it in a manner as he would never intentionally injure the sensibilities of any other person. Yet he did not stop from declaring the truth, even if it injured the sensibilities of others. Now when he said, God is one, he said it without fear of rejection, without fear of persecution or hostility, whatever you may call it, which resulted from this claim. He knew this was happening and this would happen further yet he did not desist from declaring the truth. But he knew also that this is a claim which should not hurt anybody. So the intention of hurting or insulting others was never mixed with his intentions. Because to say God is one, why should anyone be hurt about it? So that means if the reaction is diseased, if it is not normal, then it is no fault of the ilallah. It is his responsibility not to not to injure others' sensibilities willfully with intentions to hurt them. But if he says something which in itself is innocent, which should not hurt the sensibilities of a sane, normal person, then he should not desist from doing it, lest somebody else should feel offended. If I respectfully say Assalamu alaikum to you, should you be offended? No. Why should you be? But if in Pakistan they know that you are a Muslim, you are an Ahmadi Muslim, and you say Assalamu alaikum to anyone, they will be, the mullahs, if the Muslim clergy, they will show a very violent reaction to this. You have insulted us, you have hurt our sensibilities, you have no right to injure our feelings. Now, is that your fault or his fault if it happens? If you say, go to Pakistan as an Ahmadi Muslim, walk the streets of Karachi, Lahore, and say Assalamu alaikum to anyone with longer beard who looks like a member of the clergy, and he reacts violently knowing that you are an Ahmadi, and drags you to the police station and asks the urchins of the streets to come and beat you a little bit as well before you are handed over to the police. Now, whose fault would that be?
It's his.
His fault, you're sure.
Of course, I'm sure.
But if you know that they don't like it, then
But still, I have to say, I'm Muslim.
yes, you see,
This is the Islamic
I have to
need.
say,
that is it. That's what I'm saying.
They don't have a right.
And if you say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah in the streets of Pakistan, and they drag you to the police station and produce a verdict of a High Court and Supreme Court that when an Ahmadi does it, he insults the Holy Prophet of Islam. So as such, a case should be registered against him under 295C, which means death penalty is demanded by the applicant who registered the complaint against such a person. Now, if you say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah and somebody registers a case against you in a police station anywhere in Pakistan, would you desist from saying La ilaha illallah?
No way.
But you know you are hurting others.
But still, I believe in Allah.
That is it. That is exactly. That exactly was the case with Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah. No difference. Whenever he said La ilaha illallah and his followers said La ilaha illallah like Bilal, they were opposed, they were abused, they were beaten up, they were dragged in the streets of Mecca on the hard stony surfaces and even in scorching heat of the summer sun. But did they stop saying that? They did not. Why? Did they want to hurt the society around them? Was it proper to hurt the society? No. It was not proper. Then why did they not stop saying La ilaha illallah?
Because they believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
No. The answer is, in itself, the claim La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah should not hurt anyone who has an iota of sense in his cells. You see, anyone who is not mad, anyone who has command of his senses as a normal person, must not be hurt in any way. If anyone else says, I believe God is one and Muhammad is his prophet, what is wrong with that?
Nothing.
So,
Nothing at all.
if you are right, and if your beliefs should not hurt others in principle, then for the sake of others, you should not stop from expressing your views and calling the people to the path of righteousness and the path of God. This was the first lesson this is the first lesson we draw from the conduct of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He did not want to hurt even a small fly. It was not in him to hurt others. Yet for the sake of imaginary offenses which people took against his message, he was wise enough not to stop.
Sure.
You see, if I throw a flower at you and you feel hurt, this is your fault, not mine. But if I throw an open knife at someone, of course that would be wrong. That is wrong. So do not throw open knives upon others. Throw flowers with love, and continue to do that. Ultimately, this will win you the battle between the right and wrong, inshallah. You will emerge victorious. But the second thing which he showed persistently was perseverance in his preaching and patience at the suffering he received at the hands of others. Now, when you see it in this larger perspective, then you understand that the preacher for the truth or caller to the path of Allah, he does not hurt others, but others do hurt him. This is obvious. So get ready for that. When you started on the course of calling others, you may find people who become very abusive to you, who even may beat you if they can, and hurt you in so many ways. But you have not hurt them. You know that. So continue doing that. And then face the music and do it with patience. That is the second prerequisite for a successful Da'i ilallah to acquire. Otherwise, he can't traverse this path, he can't tread upon this difficult path. So, the third most important thing one remembers is that whenever in difficulty, he prayed to Allah. And with the help of prayer, the difficulties were solved and the issues were resolved in a strange way. The enemies, the so-called enemies, who were bloodthirsty in hatred for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they turned into friends who started showering their own blood to save his. Now, this was the great miracle wrought by Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's prayer, persistence, and perseverance and patience, and sticking always to the truth. Now, if you are armed with these weapons, I can't talk about all the other things. I have just given you some samples. If you preach to your own people who live here, or write to your friends and relatives over to your own country, of course you know many addresses and this and that. You send them literature, videos, cassettes, and do it as I have told you, for the sake of God, always with good intentions and with love and persuasion, with patience at whatever injury you receive in response to your efforts, and pray. then nobody can defeat you. You're bound to emerge victorious, because this is a prescription which we have seen used 1400 years ago. It's such amazing success, haven't we? Yes.
So my question is, many Muslims believe that with the advent of Imam Mahdi, there will be a dramatic change.
Eh?
There will be a dramatic change when
Yes.
Mahdi comes. So if the Mahdi is gone, and
But
still,
why has God brought a dramatic change in His previous ways? While we read in the Holy Quran, La tabdila li khalqillah, walan tajida li sunnatillahi tabdila, walan tajida li sunnatillahi tahweela. Who was the Prophet before who brought about such a dramatic change as they're expecting to be brought about by Mahdi? Ask them to show you one Prophet before. Only one out of 124,000. We're not demanding 2, 3, 4, 5, just one, please. Who brought about a change which they expect the Imam Mahdi to bring about. Would he be greater than Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Na'uz billah min zalik? He would take pride in carrying his shoes if he could. So how could he have greater magic power or something which was never granted by Allah to any prophet before, not even to Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? We have just finished a discussion of how the society treated him. For 13 full years, he continuously suffered, and his followers at the hands of others, and they were not even permitted to raise a sword in answer to the swords which were raised against them. Throughout 23 years of his prophecy, he struggled hard every moment of his life. He suffered, and gradually, with prayers, with perseverance, a change was brought about which was like dawn, like early dawn, because even if you see the whole Arabia converted to Islam, it was not yet converted to Islam truly, because the Holy Quran says, وَلَمَّا يَدْخُلِ الْإِيمَانُ فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ قَالَتِ الْأَعْرَابُ آمَنَّا وَأَسْلَمْنَا. The Holy Quran says, tell them, all right, you call yourselves Muslims, but the faith has not yet entered your hearts. So apparently there is a change, but it's sort of foggy change, where people have not yet become Muslim. The struggle lay ahead. It continued into centuries, and yet less than half the world is Muslim, much less than half the world is Muslim. If Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallam, given 1400 years, could not yet claim victory over the entire world, how could Imam Mahdi claim such a thing in 40 years or less than 40 years? Something must have gone wrong with their concept of God, not with God. Nothing can go wrong with God. We read in the Holy Quran, وَلَن تَجِدَ لِسُنَّةِ اللَّهِ تَبْدِيلًا وَلَن تَجِدَ لِسُنَّةِ اللَّهِ تَحْوِيلًا. You will not find any change, not in the slightest, in the established conduct of God vis-a-vis His prophets and their opponents. This is the meaning of this verse. And we say this history always unfolding itself in the manner as it was unfolded at the time of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah. No change. What sort of Mahdi they would bring? From where? Would completely change, not the history of prophethood, the ways of Allah, the sunnah of Allah. I can't believe in such a Mahdi. I can't believe in such a God who says something else in the Quran and tells something else to the ulama that no, this time I'm going to send a Mahdi who will set things right differently than other prophets used to do.
it's a supersonic Mahdi.
Yes. Next, please.
So my question is, how will you explain the words Khatam al-Anbiya?
Khatam al-Anbiya, there is no verse of Khatam al-Anbiya.
In the context of Quran and
Oh,
Hadith.
so there is no verse of Khatam al-Anbiya. I don't see. Do you remember any verse of Khatam al-Anbiya? Do you?
خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين.
Mussolini, I heard that.
Khatam al-Nabiyyin.
خاتم النبيين. Yeah.
You see, what I'm saying is, of course I understand. I understood you all right, but I wanted to point out that when you quote the Quran, then you should be very careful in quoting the words, right words. If you don't remember, then you can say, maybe something to this effect is said. But I'm not sure whether this word or that word. That is the proper way, which was even adopted in relation to Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's traditions by the reporters. They said something from their memory. They said, yes, Rasulullah either used this word or that word, but we are not sure, but we know that the meaning was this. You see? So, Ahmad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself has used the term Khatam al-Anbiya, but not with reference to that verse of the Quran. So, we must say there is a verse in the Holy Quran which says, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, Bismillah. ما كان محمد أبا أحد من رجالكم ولكن رسول الله وخاتم النبيين. Muhammad is the father of no men like you. رجالكم. This is the real translation, and it's a very significant one. Muhammad is no father of men like you, but he is a prophet of God, Rasulullah, the messenger of God, wa khataman nabiyyin, and khatam of all the prophets. Correct? Now, if you want to understand the word khatam, I have spoken on this, of course, many a time, but let's restart with the beginning of the verse and understand the meaning of this statement, preceding introductory statement. Muhammad is not a father of men like you. Why did the Holy Quran say that? Why did it relate the issue to the word Khatam al-Nabiyyin? Can you offer a guess? Can you suggest something? The Holy Quran is talking about Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's status. Why should it start saying that, declaring that Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is not a father of many men among you? Everybody knew that he had no son. But what did it have to do with the office of prophethood? That's what, of prophecy. That's what I'm trying to point out and find an answer from you.
Maybe his son, when he dies, his son will claim the prophecy.
No, it was not that. The fact is that the kuffar Mecca, the infidels of Mecca, used to taunt him that what sort of prophet of God he is. He is not even granted a son. Now, in the Arabs, among the Arabs, to be born with a daughter was, as they saw it, an insult. It brought the man low in the society. Look here, a daughter is born to him. So much so that sometimes out of false pride in their ignorance, they slaughtered their own daughters or buried them alive. This is the society we are talking about. And here is a prophet of God who has not been granted a son by Allah. And the society coaxes him and taunts him and says, look at this man. He has not been granted with a son, and yet he claims to be dear to Allah. So the first part of the verse deals with them. It says, agreed, no son is born to him. But remember, no son like unto you is born to him. The Holy Quran doesn't say no son is born to him. It says, Ma kana Muhammadun aba ahadim min rijalikum. You see? It's a very deep, very profound, significant verse which says that you are not worthy of being proud of as for anybody to be your father. People like you, you come and go and are wasted and turn to earth meaninglessly. Why should a prophet of Allah be granted just a material son, like a son, a physical son? He should be granted by Allah with a spiritual son instead. And if somebody is father to a prophet, he can rightly take pride in the fact. But if he is a father to Abu Jahl or Utbah and Shaiba, he should hide his face in shame, even if they appear to be men, That is where he perhaps he was justified to bury such people alive, out of shame for them. Not to bury his innocent daughters. But if Utbah, Shaiba and Abu Jahl were born to him, then maybe one could think that if they buried them alive, they did well. So sons like those who were taunting Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam was nothing to take pride of. They were rather such as one should be ashamed of them if they were born to you. You understand the point? So the Holy Quran says, no harm. People, he is not a father to a people like you. Okay. But he is Khatam al-Nabiyyin. The obvious meaning is he is the father of all the prophets. You understand the point? In this context, if you translate the word Khatam the way the non-Ahmadi clergy does, the meaning will become most obnoxious to a believer's taste. Because it would mean, you say he does not have a physical son. We agree. But perhaps you don't know that he will not have a spiritual son either. He has come to finish the office of prophecy once and for all, and you are taunting him for his not having a son like you. We tell you that he will not have a son ever, like prophets of God, because he has come at the end and no spiritual son will be born to him. Will that be a tribute to Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? Can you consider it a tribute? Can you? Why not? He's Khatam al-Nabiyyin. He has come at the end of prophets. He has finished them all. And this is in answer to the objection that he has no son. God says, yes, we agree, he has no son. And when God agrees, it means he had decided not to grant him a son anyway. Because if his son was to be born to him in future, he should have said, I know I am God. You are right only up to now. In future I am going to grant him a son. But he didn't say that. That means it was decreed, it was decided, God agreed. No son. But also God tells them, if the mullahs are right in their interpretation of Khatam al-Nabiyyin, that he is not only abtar in physical terms, he is also abtar in spiritual terms. No spiritual son will ever be born to him. So what is left of the great status of Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? This is a most insulting translation. The rightful translation is only this, that although he is not a father of men like you, but God has made him the father of all prophets. Now this is for us to prove that he is the father of all prophets. How? Those who were before him, or how could he be the Khatam of all? If you want to understand this, it will take me some time, but I can very clearly make you understand, follow the paths of my thinking, leading you to a most wonderful truth. hidden in the word Khatamun Nabiyyin. You know how you can recognize a son to be the son of a father? How can you? By the signs of his characters, which are sealed on him. So every father is a khatam to his son. And only through the marks of that seal, you can trace him back to that father. If some other imprint is on a child, no one can say with surety that he belongs to the so-called father. Who can know whether the mother was chaste or not? So what is the surest sign? The mark of seal. So if you find the mark of Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's seal on every prophet, wherever he was born, he is like a son to him, because he carries some characteristics of Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So the prophets should be recognized by their characteristics and their similarity to Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He will be their spiritual fathers as long as those characteristics are found in any claimant. If not found, then reject him. Go ahead and do it as you please. What a wonderful, what a profound meaning this verse contains, and how it beautifully tallies with what was said before. It is in full agreement with the whole subject of discussion. Got it?
Yes.
Khatam al-Nabiyyin. From his seal and his imprint, you will recognize all the prophets of God. He stands supreme. He is the model. You may not find anybody completely exactly like him, of course. But where is a son who carries all the characteristics of his father? Some fundamental characteristics, and that is enough. That's enough proof of his being a genuine son. So, Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is shown as a model of a father. A father of not only what is to be born, which is not denied, a father to all, wherever prophets were born, you will see them, recognize them, Muhammad's print would be among them. If not, then they're false. What a great claim, and what a wonderful and profound wisdom is expressed in so short a term as Khatam al-Nabiyyin. Now the other Muslims, the clergy who say we do not believe in the meaning, they never go into the depth of this word ever. Ask them, they don't know these things. They don't care. They only make superficial claims. Claims which are not supported by their own thinking later on. I can prove it. Claims which are self-contradictory. They believe in inconsistencies. How? I can prove that. They say, well, but don't go into the details of Khatam and this and that. What we believe is simply this, that the word Khatam means one who ends something. Who Khatam, finishes off completely. Yeah. Everything is done with, and dead, no more. Yeah. We say, are you sure? This is the meaning? They say, yes, of course, there's no doubt about it. So we ask them, tell us, all the prophets, an-Nabiyyin, before him, were finished by him? Because Khatam is a file here. Yeah. The one who does the finishing, act of finishing. Yes. So were they all finished by him? Are you sure? They will say, yes, no doubt, no problem. Now tell us, was Jesus Christ among the prophets of God before him or not? That is the only question we ask. Was he among the an-Nabiyyin or was he not among the an-Nabiyyin? What would be the answer?
Among them.
They can't run away from this. Yes. They have to admit he was among the an-Nabiyyin who were finished off by Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Right?
Yes.
In what way was Jesus finished, please? we know that one can finish somebody either by killing him, bringing upon a physical death upon him, or one can say he finished because he died before him. He was finished anyway. So physically speaking, it has only two connotations. Either finishing by killing somebody or appearing when there was nobody or there to share his lifetime. The lifetime of the previous one was over and finished. So we know all the other prophets of Allah were already dead when Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came. So there is no test case. But they say there was a test case of Jesus Christ, who was still alive. So let us see who finishes whom. Jesus was still alive when Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was born. They tell us. And he was still alive when he died. According to the clergy of Islam today, Jesus was alive when Hazrat Muhammad Rasul Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was born. He finished the span of his prophecy, returned to his God, died a natural death, and Jesus remained to be alive. He went through the seal of his prophecy, his khatamiyat, intact. Only the seal was broken. When you go across that seal and extend your lifespan greater than the lifespan of Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and go through his time into the future, what would be left of the seal of Prophet? Seal of Khatamiyat, I mean. The question simply is, who would finish whom? If a prophet is alive at the time of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam dies and he is still alive, who finished whom?
No, Isa finished Muhammad.
That's right. Nauzubillah min zalik. Nauzubillah min zalik. And we say, Lanatullah al-Qasibin. Any meaning of Khatam al-Nabiyyin which they draw, which finishes Muhammad Rasulullah and does it at the hand of Jesus Christ, is such an insulting meaning, so contrary to the issue of discussion, because Muhammad Rasulullah is being described as the best. How could you accept such a meaning? We believe he was finished. You see, that is it. That is the beauty. We do not only believe in those profound meanings we ourselves suggested, we also believe in the meaning which they suggest. Okay, finish with everything. We agree. So you must finish with Jesus first of all. But then they say, the one man may say, we're not talking of physical things. We're talking of offices, spiritual things. Okay, all right. Let's put the same issue on the touchstone of Jesus Christ. All the prophets before Muhammad Rasulullah were finished in their quality or in their special powers by God to be beneficial for the mankind, either a small section or a larger section, that's immaterial. All the prophets of God were benefactors of mankind. Benefits flew from them to the people. This was their position. And in that position, they at that time had no equal. They were the greatest of those men with whom the affair, with whom the interests of mankind of that period was tightly bound. As long as they lived, and also after their death, as long as their faith lived, as long as their office of prophecy continued, they remained beneficial to the people who followed them. Right? So Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came. And did Moses continue to directly convey his blessings to the people after Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, or did he not? Tell me. Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came. Before that, Moses had been granted with the special quality by Allah to show favors, grant spiritual, benefits, or what should I say, should be spiritually beneficial to the people who believed in him. Before Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came, as long as the ummah of Moses was not wiped out, he still was a source of blessing for the people who believed in him.
Even after Muhammad.
Not after Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Was he?
Before, even after him, they were still carrying on believing in Muslims.
They do. But when Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came, something else did happen. And that something else is mentioned in the Quran in verse وَمَنْ يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَالرَّسُولَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنَ النَّبِيِّينَ وَالصِّدِّيقِينَ وَالشُّهَدَاءِ وَالصَّالِحِينَ وَحَسُنَ أُولَٰئِكَ رَفِيقًا. After the appearance of Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, all the blessings which man can draw from a prophet are now confined to the Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself. No one can have any reward from Allah until he believes in Allah and this prophet of Allah, Muhammad Rasulullah. فَأُولَٰئِكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ. All the graces of Allah can be had from him. See? So which means the ages of our prophets are over. In short, the age of Muhammad Rasulullah begins. Does that age cover whole of the world, the entire world, or does it not?
It covers the whole.
It covers. So there is a small island where another prophet would still rule.
True.
The dominion of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has extended to the whole world, every inch, every smallest particle of earth, and for every age. So we can say with greatest certainty that the age of Moses is over, the age of Adam is over, the age of Noah is over, the age of David and Solomon and Abraham and Isaac and Joseph, all ages are over. The age of Muhammad Rasulullah begins and the ages of the prophets end. This is Khatam al-Nabiyyin. See? All the times, great times, I refer to as ages, of earlier prophets are no more. He finished them all. But the mullahs, the clergy tell us, perhaps we have forgotten that the age of Jesus Christ is not over. When the Ummah of Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam will pass through very difficult times of life and death, when they will be threatened by all sorts of evils by Satan, and they will about to succumb to them, then who would come to save them? Which prophet of God?
Peace.
See? So the age of Isa is over.
It's not over yet. It's
not
a new
over.
one now.
Whose age is over?
Muhammad.
Muhammad.
Allahumma salli.
His age finishes
Yes.
because he can't bring them to life himself by his own power.
It's said it.
Nor his servant, any of his servants can do it. One prophet of God is preserved from the Ummah of Moses, who is referred to in the Holy Quran as Rasulun ila Bani Israel. A small people belonging to a small time, small age, which is finished at the advent of Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But this man is preserved. So the age of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah comes to an end and the age of Jesus begins from then on. What a shame.
It's a contradiction.
If he were born in the Ummah, if he were a servant of Muhammad Rasulullah, if he had learned his spiritual teaching from Muhammad Rasulullah, then there can be no contradiction. Because at a time of crisis, if your own son, your own children get up and confront the enemy who is attacking you and defeat him roundly, there is no insult. It is your age, because it is your children, your sons. So the word Khatam, now remember, indicates father. So it says his being a father is ageless. He is father to those who are before them, and he will remain father to those who come after him. And it will be his blessing which will continue, and he will not need the help of any previous prophet. But his own sons, his own spiritual children will be able, God will raise from among them somebody who will be able to fight all the evil threats to the existence of Islam. This is why we believe that Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah is Khatam al-Nabiyyin in every sense. He finished not only the life spans of all the prophets before him, but he also finished them spiritually. And their power, their ability to have spiritual benefit, to show spiritual benefit to others, is no more. It has come to an end. So we believe in the meaning which they suggest, don't we? And they do not believe in the meaning which they themselves suggest. Both the times, in both cases of trial, they wriggle out of it, and somehow they contradict what they believe in. All that they can say, and they say, is that yes, okay, Jesus would come, but it would not be his age, because he would join Islam. He will accept Islam. So he will be a Muslim. As such, he will be subordinate to Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So where is the big objection? We say, was there not a single Muslim left born in the Ummah to be capable of doing that? That is the question. Why to borrow another one from the past and make him Muslim, as if all the Ummah of Islam had died? There was no potent person. This is the issue which still remains. Nobody can evade this. Why should God act like mad, Na'uz billah min zalik? If there are wealthy people in Islam who are capable of delivering the goods within Islam, why should borrow somebody from the past belonging to the Ummah of Moses, whom the Holy Quran declares to be Prophet Ila Israel? Unless there was a dire need. And the only need which can be established is that all the children of Muhammad Rasulullah had become totally impotent. They were incapable of serving the cause of Islam as prophets of God. So Allah said, all right, I'll bring someone old. Even greater insult. Still, it would be the age of Jesus which would begin, because he could not have brought in if all the Muslims had failed to pass the test. If all the Muslims born in the Ummah of Muhammad Rasulullah had not failed the test, Jesus could not have been brought back. This means they all failed the test. So which Ummah finished? Ummah Muhammadiyya, Ummah of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah. Na'uz billah min zalik.
Including the Prophet.
Yes. So whatever they say, whatever excuse they try to present, the age of Jesus and other prophet, an outsider would begin. And when it begins, the age of the Holy Quran will also come to an end. Because when they read, the believers in Jesus at that time, وَرَسُولٌ إِلَىٰ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلِ, you say, no, not this verse cannot work now. God perhaps forgot that this prophet is going to work as Rasulun ila Ummat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This verse is stricken off. And even if one verse is stricken off, the Holy Quran's authenticity goes overboard. Its validity is no longer acceptable. Problem after problem. You understand the point now?
Yes.
Good. Next question.
Hazur, did Nabiyuna Muhammad sallallahu
Sallallahu
alaihi
alaihi
wasallam said, Ana Musa, Ana Isa,
Yes.
Ana Kullul Anbiya, Ana Awwalu wa Akhir. If he did say that, does it reflect the same explanation you gave us?
You see, I don't exactly remember the words of that hadith which you have in mind. If you better bring it next time, so I'll read it and let you know exactly what it means. It's not good to guess in relation to the wordings of Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and in relation to the wordings of the Quran. When you know definitely, then you should answer. But what I can say is that Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did mention him to be the very first, even before Adam. And being the very first, he says, he was Khatam al-Nabiyyin, even when Adam was not yet born. So the word Khatam does not mean the last in time.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
That is where such claims help us. It's a timeless thing.
Right.
He is the father of prophets before him, he will be the father of prophets after him.
Yes.
None can come
Yes.
who can have his own different characters other than the seal of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's imprint, and yet call himself a rightful prophet. See? Anything else?
This is the last question.
Nazir, the people of Somalia in
Yes,
the
please.
northeast of Africa,
We're in time.
No, it's all right.
Yes, please.
Nazir, the people of Somalia in the northeast Africa are in a state of war and confusion by the United Nations and its agencies. As these people are Muslims, what the Ahmadi Islamic movement could offer for assistance?
You see, you can only assist those who listen to you. Not to others. If they listen to us, we can do a lot for them with the grace of Allah. You see, those who have rejected Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, what did he do for them? What could he do for them? Because the Holy Quran says, "Innama anta muzakkir, lasta alayhim bimusaitir." So the demarcation which separates a muzakkir from a musaitir remains still good for us, and we are not musaitirin. But those of you who have listened to the call of Masih Maud Islam, you begin to see changes within you, greater peace, you're at rest, and you know now that you're living a life worthy of living. So this peace will descend on everyone who accepts any imam appointed by Allah. And then a wisdom is born from within you like light of Allah. Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, "Ittaqu firasat al-mu'mini fa-innahu yara bi-ayn Allah." So this firasat will be granted through Ahmadiyyat, inshallah. And they'll be able to see light and get united first of all. And a united people cannot fight with each other, and nobody can fight against a united people either. Okay? Now it's time over. Let's say Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Khuda
Assalamu alaikum.
fi aman Allah.
خدا حافظ.
All right. Assalamu alaikum.